We heard a lot of insults. We heard that they're a threat to our national security. And that's a flat-out lie. According to DHS, Madam President, the greatest domestic threat facing the United States comes from, quote, racially or ethnically motivated violent extremists, specifically those who advocate for the superiority of the white race, not our immigrants.
I feel like I was just called a racist white man. That's not appropriate. I don't think we should be saying those things on the Senate chamber floor. I find that very disrespectful.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Senator Mohammed, so can illegal aliens get a driver's license under this bill?
Senator Mohammed, and just everybody gets to choose their words, but undocumented people might be
They're
better.
my words, Madam Chair, and illegal is breaking the law. Aliens is part of our federal law.
I don't think that is a term that is in this bill, and or no human being should be referred to as that, and so I will make that clear, especially because I'm an immigrant. And so if I didn't have its status, I don't think I would want to be called an illegal or
My wife's
alien.
an immigrant too.
Senator Jaskowski.
I'll say this. I took on this bill for many reasons. And one of the reasons is because I was so tired of the way people were demeaning me as an immigrant and demeaning people who I knew just because they didn't have a status, as if they were less of a human being. And I think you can refer to them as whatever you want. But we do this work because we're humans and we respect people. And I want you to know some of the people who you're speaking of that way live and work in this community, and they work in this building.
I rise to oppose the previous question so that we can immediately consider H.R. 471, the PAUSE Act of 2021. This important bill, introduced by my good friend Yvette Harrell, would maintain health screening protections at the border to ensure that the Biden administration does not allow foreigners to enter our country illegally without being properly vetted. As we are discussing other countries and other borders, the one country where we all swear an oath to uphold our laws and defend our Constitution, and we serve the American people from each of our own districts, we should be taking extreme seriousness to this invasion at our southern border, not only for the COVID-19 pandemic, but also for the many other dangerous diseases such as tuberculosis and others that they bring into our country. It's a shame. It's a tragedy. I yield back the remainder of my time.
The United States of America just witnessed the most astonishing spectacle. We are here to debate aid to the people of Ukraine defending themselves against a massive invasion by Vladimir Putin and his army. Then the minority puts up the distinguished general lady from Georgia who does not mention Ukraine once. She does not mention the thousands of Ukrainian civilians who've been slaughtered by Putin's army. She does not mention more than 100 Ukrainian children who've been shot and killed by the Ukrainian army. Instead, she talks about a massive invasion at the border, a massive invasion which their own speakers have said today hundreds of thousands of people have been apprehended in. That's very different from a military invasion. The one in Ukraine, of course, the general lady is not going to talk about that.
We heard them being called terrorists. We heard them being called drug dealers. We heard a lot of insults. We heard that they're a threat to our national security. And that's a flat-out lie. You want to know who the real threat is, Madam President? I'll give you a hint. They don't look like our chief author. They don't look like the folks up in the gallery. They don't look like the folks out in the rotunda. They look like many of the members that sit in the front. According to DHS, Madam President, the greatest domestic threat facing the United States comes from, quote, racially or ethnically motivated violent extremists, specifically those who advocate for the superiority of the white race, not our immigrants. We are safer and we're better off because of them.
I'm not going to go back and debate everything that was talked about tonight, but that was not called for. We didn't call anyone terrorists. We said that we're afraid that this could lead to that. We're not calling a group of people terrorists. We're not saying that they're going to create these acts. We're just looking out for everybody.
I'm not confident that we don't have people in our midst that are terrorists that may want that driver's license.
Millions are pouring across. There's no way of vetting them. And terrorists can come across, come to Minnesota, get a driver's license, get on an airline, and fly off in an airplane.
Everyone knows that you have more people coming in than ever, and you're removing fewer people than ever, and it's because you have no plan and because it's on purpose. See, I don't buy the theory that you don't know how to do this. I think you're actually a highly competent dude. But the reality is, your plan is to bring these people in and to send the message to the smugglers and the criminals that they will never have to leave.
If one has a finite amount of resources and one has a finite number of hours, and one has a choice of removing 20 shoplifters or 3 fugitive armed bank robbers, how would you spend your time?
Well, I know how you've spent yours. I know how you've spent yours by decreasing by 48% the number of criminals you arrest, by deporting 63% fewer convicted criminals. You have the lowest deportation rate in the history of the department, right?
Your data that you cite is misleading.
And so the Americans who are the victims of the crimes for the people that you release in the country are collateral damage that you are willing to accept in order to have our border function as a turnstile. And you're willing to accept that collateral damage.
Congressman, I couldn't disagree with you more.